Hello, marhaba.
Hello.
How are you?
Thank you.
Very nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. So the ambassador will make a statement on the record. You can ask a couple.
Great pleasure to be here in Turkey. Marhaba. Well, I'm delighted to be here in Turkey. We discussed with my Turkish colleagues the peace process for Afghanistan. Turkey has done a lot in Afghanistan already. We're grateful for Turkey's support. The Afghans have a special attachment to Turkey, and they are also grateful for Turkey's role. We discussed with our Turkish colleagues what more Turkey can do, especially with regard to the peace process. They are considering, the Turks are considering additional measures that they could take to facilitate and help the Afghans to come to a peace agreement among themselves, and for Afghanistan not to become a platform for terrorists again, and for Afghanistan to become fully sovereign and independent. So I'm delighted to have had that chance to talk with our Turkish friends and colleagues. I also talked with the Russian Special Envoy, Ambassador Kabalov, while in Ankara. We both agreed that Afghanistan should not again ever become a platform for terrorists such as Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or other international terrorists or groups or individuals. We agreed that there is a need for guarantees and enforcement mechanisms to ensure that requirement with regard to terrorism. We also talked about inter-Afghan dialogue, the need for the Afghans to appoint or agree to a national team that includes the Afghan government, and the urgent necessity for the Talibs to sit with that Afghan national team and agree to a roadmap for peace in Afghanistan. We agreed that the region can play an important role in facilitating peace and supporting peace in Afghanistan. And we talked about some options for how the region could play that role and what mechanism could best serve that purpose. So it was a good discussion that we had. Well, the message that we gave was that we want Russia to play a constructive role. We do not want to monopolize the diplomacy of peace in Afghanistan. We welcome all efforts that promotes peace in Afghanistan and make sure that Afghanistan never again becomes a platform for terrorists. We talked about inter-Afghan dialogue, and we talked about the regional dimension, how the region could play a positive role. It was a good meeting. We look forward to future meetings with the Russians. Well, the biggest challenge right now is the start of a comprehensive, all-inclusive Afghan dialogue. That means the Taliban on the one side and the other Afghans, the government, other political leaders, civil society, women, this new Afghanistan that has come about since 2001. To get them to sit across the table from each other, and in the Afghan war, some Afghans fighting other Afghans. It's been 40 years since Afghanistan has been at war. I know the Afghans are yearning for peace. We will play our role to facilitate and help. We will not be an obstacle on the road to peace in Afghanistan. At present, there is a lack of agreement between Talibs and the government to sit together. We're looking for a formula, which is a national team on one side, and the Talibs to sit across the table from each other. That's the biggest challenge right now. The plans to overcome this challenge is to first encourage an Afghan national team, meaning the government, the other political leaders of Afghanistan, women's groups, civil society, forming a single team. And the Talibs have said, according to various reports, that they would be willing to sit with such a team. So the government and the political leaders are going to meet, and there is also a plan for a Grand Assembly, an advisory Grand Assembly next month in Afghanistan. I hope that before that Grand Assembly a team can be agreed to, but if not, that could be one of the products of that advisory Grand Assembly called the Loya Jirga. Hopefully we will be in a position then to press the Talibs to sit with the Afghan team and agree on a roadmap for Afghanistan's political future. Our presence in Afghanistan is condition-based. It's to help the Afghans stand on their own feet. It's to help Afghans fight against international terrorists and insurgents. We don't want to be permanently based in Afghanistan militarily. Our withdrawal will be also condition-based. And with regard to the post-peace government, we would like to have a good legacy left behind and to have good relations with the future Afghanistan. And that could have a security dimension if that government would want it. But we want the war to end. We are not looking for a withdrawal agreement with the Afghan government and the Talibs. We're looking for a peace agreement that will enable U.S. to reduce its forces and withdraw. But we're very much open to a very positive partnership with Afghanistan for the long term.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The important thing is Turkey about the visit.
Thank you very much.
Tashakkur.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.